ready for bed at a regular time is one of the most important habits you can learn.
Who you gonna call?
Ghostbusters! Jason was my son, and today is his birthday.
Oh, Lori, scared another one away.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back.
We are counselors at Hackett's Quarry Summer Camp. There is a swarm of bears.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
Most people are so ungrateful to be alive, but not you.
It's showtime.
Hello, and welcome back to another fabulous and wonderful episode of the Screen Stream. Now we are on episode 31, and like I promised, guys, we are here to talk about X. This was a fun movie to go back and review. I'm not gonna lie, I only saw this movie one time. That was literally back to back with Pearl. Love this movie though. It was not as gratuitous as I remember. I remember some of the deaths being a lot more violent. Granted, don't get me wrong, they're still pretty violent in this movie. They're still pretty violent. But I remember them being so much worse. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I was just like all into the cool factor of the kills, because there's some pretty cool kills in this movie. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I love, it's mainly RJ's kill. I love his kill, and I love Bobby Lynn's character's death as well. Like that crocodile. I love a good death roll. I'm not gonna lie. I love a good death roll. But X is a 2022 film from the A24 studio, just like Pearl. It's also directed and written by Ty West, just like Pearl. And we have, of course, our main star from Pearl, Mia Goth, returning as Maxine and playing Pearl, our older version of Pearl, even though she played Pearl in the original Pearl movie. I'm saying Pearl a lot. But yes, we have Mia Goth returning back to play Pearl, and of course the new leading lady Maxine in this movie, who, surprisingly enough, I looked into it. I found out the name of the third movie. I want to say in last week's podcast when I talked about Pearl, I mentioned that this was part of a trilogy set of movies. I want to say the third movie is called Maxine with 3 X's in it. So, do what you want with that information. Our Scream Queen herself, Jenna Ortega, is in this, playing Lorraine Day. Of course, we all know her from the Scream franchise, Scream 5 and 6, Insidious Chapter 2. Fantastic actress. She is really getting out there when it comes to her horror roles, and especially with her in Wednesday on the Netflix show. Wonderful. She did a wonderful job. She is a fantastic actress, and I'm glad she is becoming a new Scream Queen. We haven't had one in a good minute, and I'm thoroughly enjoying her. I really am. Of course, we have Brittany Snow, who I haven't seen in a good fucking minute. Like, it's been a while since I've seen Brittany Snow in anything. For those of y'all who don't know Brittany Snow, she was in John Tucker Must Die, if y'all remember that, a little rom-com of a movie. The Pacifier with Vin Diesel in it. I love that movie. Like that was one of my favorite Disney movies. If y'all haven't seen it, it's on Disney Plus. Totally check it out. It's a funny ass movie. And of course, we know her from Prom Night. I'm not a big fan of the movie per se because of the fact that I don't know if it's supposed to be a rib, if it was supposed to be a remake, or what, the original Jamie Lee Curtis Prom Night. But it was a PG-13 debacle of a shit show of a movie, and the fact that they did an unrated cut with no extra blood or gratuitous violence to it really just makes my head scratch. Like, why do we have an unrated cut? What, because he said the F-bomb, like, somewhere in the movie or something? I don't know. We, of course, have Kid Kuda. Oh, shit, I can never say his name. Kid Cudi. There we go. I don't know why I say Kuda. Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi. Everybody knows Kid Cudi. He is a fantastic singer. Love his work. He's got some amazing songs. I'm not gonna lie. He's actually a pretty good actor too. I've seen him in the episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine where he guest starred on there. funny as fuck. I'm not gonna lie. But yes, he plays Jackson Hole in this movie. Kid Cudi, I'm just gonna say something to you. Personally, from me to you, buddy. From me to you. I don't know if you're ever gonna see this. If you do, I hope this makes you chuckle, but I'm gonna be honest, man. All I saw was the silhouette, and it scared me. That's all I'm gonna say, okay? And if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, we'll get there when we get there. But the silhouette just scared me, man, and that's intimidating as fuck. I'm not gonna lie. Of course, we have Martin Henderson, who plays Wayne. Oh my god. Not only did Martin do a great job of emulating like a really classy Matthew McConaughey, but he's a fantastic actor. He was in Smoking Aces and The Strangers 2. Love him in that. Owen Campbell played RJ. Funny enough, I really didn't find much on him personally. Like, he did a couple of like weird episodes or spin-off episodes on a couple of TV shows I know. A lot of the film though did not recognize. Sorry, Owen. Like, I tried to look at some of your movies. I didn't recognize anything you... Ooh, excuse me. I didn't recognize anything you did. And then we have Steven Ura, who played Howard. Fantastic job playing an old, creepy-ass man. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, good job, guys. Good job. Like, I'm with some people when it comes to old people in horror movies. It's like children in horror movies. If done correctly, you can have a terrifying villain or situation dealing with creepy old people and creepy children because they are working overtime on their creep factor. But then you have those situations where, well, it's creepy because they're old or it's creepy because they're young. You know, it's not creepy just because it's creepy. I hope that makes sense. I really do. But the point is, because they got these younger actors to dress up as these older, versions of Howard and Pearl, they do a really good job of, acting old. Like, as crazy as that sounds, they do a good job of acting old and kind of resentful, bitter towards the younger generations, but still feel the love between them. You still feel the love between them. Like, seriously, that's some good-ass writing right there. Like, I actually felt for Pearl and Howard. Like, and Pearl, I didn't really feel shit for Howard because Howard's really not mentioned too terribly much, except that Pearl really resents her marriage towards Howard. In this one, I feel like Howard truly does love Pearl, and that is why he's willing to stay with Pearl, even after walking in to the fucking end of Pearl, with her mom and dad dead, and the dinner scenes got all those maggots and everything all over the place. He still decides to stay with her. Because he truly loves her. He even says that several times in the movie. How much he absolutely adores his wife. Especially towards her. Because she's like a lot of older people. Especially older people when they've been together for a long time. They're just like, do you still love me? Do you still think I'm the beautiful woman that you met all those years ago? Because that's something a lot of people fear when they get older, is that, you're not going to keep your good looks forever. Eventually your skin's going to sag, and you're going to get wrinkles, you're going to age over time. That's just the way your body works. It's the way life is. But that's also a fear of a lot of people, that once they get older, their loved ones is not going to love them back. They're just going to be there and be miserable because, well, they've been together for 40 years. Might as well finish off the last 30. Now, unfortunately, that's a sad factor of life. So, when I say they do a good job of playing old people, I really mean it, because I feel for these characters. And you're not supposed to feel for bad guys. You're truly not. Granted, you can root for them, like we root for fucking Jason to kill all those teenagers at the summer camp. We root for fucking Freddy to murder all those kids on Elm Street. But to feel sorry for them? That's a whole new level of feels you shouldn't be feeling. Because you're not supposed to feel sorry for a psycho killer. You're supposed to fear them. Unfortunately, some people do more than just fear them. Some people worship them. And I'm not going to go into that shenanigans, because that's a whole other kettle of fish. I'm not even going to lie. Like, seriously. The amount of people who worship certain serial killers in this world blows my mind. But I have to say, though, The acting in this movie is fiery as hell. I love the writing. It's basic and simple. We get the gist of the characters, you know, and that's what makes it a bit different from Pearl. Pearl's more of a character study on Pearl and her surroundings, where this one is, here's the characters, here's the problem, here's the solution, movie done. Like, seriously, straight up, like, we feel with these characters, we get a little bit of backstory, we actually feel the characters. I don't mean just like feel them from the inside out because of all the pornography scenes in the movie. I mean like they feel like a natural friends. They don't feel forced. They feel like they hung out before. Like we're just literally walking in randomly and watching these people hang out. You know, and it feels very, you know, flowy, very naturally. And with a movie where over half of it, it's like dirty sex scenes. The other half of it's just straight up murder scenes. You know, it's kind of hard to write character development for a bunch of characters that are basically going to get killed off in about, I don't know, say about 45 minutes to an hour. And the movie's only about an hour and 45 minutes. And I want to say the first kill doesn't happen until like the 45, 50-minute marker or something like that. But yeah, fantastic movie. I'll say it again, fantastic movie. Some other references I noticed, though, about this movie that's very connecting to Pearl, besides the fact that there's, you know, Pearl herself, is there's a lot of callbacks to some scenes from Pearl's movie. Mainly, it's like the opening scene. It's just like Pearl. I like very identical. I mean, like identical, like to a T. Except the only difference is one's in the beautiful, pristine 1918. The other one, well, it's 1979. It's very dingy and rusty. But there's scenes like that. You know, the callback with the whole, you know, thing that Pearl was infamous and famous for. The pitchfork comes back. Some deaths with the pitchforks comes back. The feeding of the gator. Like, there's a lot of that ties in very well with Pearl. And they're great pieces to watch back to back. And I really hope when Maxine comes out that I can sit down and watch all three of these movies back to back and have a fun-filled ride through and through. Because I thoroughly enjoy both Pearl and X, especially for what they're supposed to be. And that's just a love letter to horror movies. And I want to say last week I said that Pearl is like a love letter for Technicolor films, The Wizard of Oz, Mary Poppins, stuff like that. This one's more of a love letter to classic grunge movies, you know, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Psycho, Alligator. I don't know if a lot of people seen that movie, but it was like an old 80s movie. It was called Alligator. It's about a little girl whose pet alligator gets flushed to the sewers in New York. I want to say it was New York, but it ends up mutating, getting really huge, and then making a muck in the city. It was a fantastic, cheesy movie. Love it. It's on Shudder, I want to say. But, yeah, this is like a beautiful love letter to those types of movies. You could definitely feel like a lot of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes, especially from the camera angles, the old school real feel, the van scenes. Anytime they're in the van hanging out, it just feels like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Also got to add a note that the music, being that it's a 1970 movie, or based on a 1979 movie, it's got a lot of 70s rock and roll thrown in left and right where they can spit into it. And when they don't have that, they actually have a nice synth waves going on, which I like that aspect because of the fact that synth waves got very popular around 1979, 1980. And that was used a lot in horror movies, definitely throughout all the 80s, synthwave through and through. So I do like the nods. The music was a good choice. A lot of the directional writing was a great choice. The characters, like I said, felt very real and natural. I like that. Even though we don't get to like the hold hands and figure out Bobby Lynn's full backstory, all we need to know is Bobby Lynn loves what she's doing. She doesn't want to go back to where she was. And she is happy. That's all we need to know. And that's all we're going to get. And it's like with Maxine, that we get a little bit more character development because she's, you know, more the star of the movie. But in some degree, they pull a psycho on us where we think, you know, Jamie Lee's mother is the star of the movie. And whoops-a-daisy, about halfway through that movie, she gets killed. And that's kind of like this when it comes to not Bobby Lynn's character, but Maxine's character. Like, we get to introduce her in the beginning of the movie, and about halfway through, we get like this, I'm not gonna say tragic moment, but this like coming of age moment from Jenna Ortega's character, where she's just like, I want to be part of this movie too. And so we focus on her and RJ's moment. So it's almost like, are we gonna do this whole switcheroo, or we're gonna pay attention to Jenna Ortega and she's gonna be the final girl? Nope, it's Maxine. Which, by the way, guys, before we continue on with the fun facts, spoiler alerts all the way through this entire movie. I highly recommend y'all watching this before you watch this podcast. But, spoilers. Heads up. Another thing, though, before we dive straight into this movie is, well, the biggest aspect of this movie. The sex. Sex is everywhere in this movie. This is literally sex, drugs, and rock and roll all over this movie. And I do not have a problem with this. Like, I'm a firm believer when it comes to sex scenes in movies, if done tastefully, if done nicely, it can work. It really works. Like, I'm a huge fan of a lot of the sexual moments in the original Friday the 13th movies, because of the fact that it feels very natural for these characters to do that. Of course, they're stereotypes, so, you know, it feels natural. So I'm okay with a lot of their sexual moments. But there's been some movies where it's like sex scenes just happen just to make a sex scene just happen. I'm not going to give an example like 385 Days, 'cause that whole movie's just sex. But there's been like some horror movies out there where it's like I've been all into the characters in the moment, and it's suddenly just titties right in my face. Like, we're having a sex scene for no reason whatsoever. And it's just, oh, I love this character, so this is how I'm showing it. Instead of telling us, instead of showing in action, we just get to see them have sex. So we get a bare ass, bare tits, and maybe a kind of a side frontal view for a half a millisecond. But a lot of times, it's not really classy. It's not really stylish, and it's kind of raunchy. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of raunchy. But like I said, I'm a firm believer, but when it's done correctly, it's nicely done. And I like it. I don't have problems with it. I don't complain about it. But I do roll my eyes when I see too much sex in a horror movie, because, like, okay, I get it. You know, we're here to see young people abuse drugs, alcohol, and get laid and then die. I get that. But can we get to some substance, please? You know, if I want to watch nothing but sex, I'll put on 365 Days. I'll go to Pornhub. But sorry, I don't know how to do the intro for it. You know, that boom, ba-doop, doop. Y'all know what I'm talking about. If y'all don't, look it up. Wait a minute, y'all don't know what I'm talking about. What the hell are y'all doing here? This is 18 and plus. Anyway, the point is, sex is a very key, important factor in this movie, because not only does it drive the main plot of this movie, which is we're here to make a pornography film called The Farmer's Daughter, and Pearl is driven because of her sexual desires. You know, she wants to have sex with Howard, but that old man, you know, his heart's old. He's bitter. He's winded. So he can't get it up like he used to. So she's got to find other outlets. Because, unfortunately, her dreams are not succeeding. Like, she even makes mention of the fact that she never gets your dreams. And I'm going to be honest, she gets it, but she doesn't. Because of the fact that she gets a taste of it, and then it's kind of, like, taken away from her. And I'll get there when I get there. And it's kind of sad. And again, when you watch the movie Pearl and you learn her tragic backstory, you actually feel for this character when she's in her bitter moments of talking about how once she was young and beautiful and da-da-da-da. You feel her bitterness because of the fact that she had these dreams and they were taken from her, like smashed in front of her actually. They weren't just taken, they were smashed and destroyed in front of her because that's not what they wanted. They wanted the X Factor. They wanted blonde hair, blue eyes, all American girl. They didn't want a fucking I think she's from Germany. I want to say she's from Germany. Yeah, because her mom speaks German. But they don't want some German immigrant, you know, being on the center stage over here. They want an all-American girl. So she didn't fit their lifestyle. She didn't fit the choices that these judges wanted. So her dreams got smashed and destroyed in front of her. And it's so sad. So, you know, when you get into X and you're watching this movie, you feel for her. You also feel extremely uncomfortable because of her in several scenes. So let's go ahead and dive straight on into this because, man, Pearl, we thought Pearl was crazy, and Pearl, no. Her old age has not stopped her from being crazy. So let's go ahead and dive straight on into this. So, the opening is literally a parallel shot of Pearl. I was not joking about that because of the fact that, we start off with facing out of the barn going towards the farmhouse itself. The only difference is we see blood on the side of the house and everything's all pale and decrepit because, it's been 60 some odd years since Pearl at this point. Pearl was in 1918, this is 1979. Things were not well taken care of. Pearl kind of let some things slack after a while. But what's also very interesting about this is the fact that compared to Pearl's opening where Pearl had this whimsical musical moment of, the barn doors open, the technicolor sun shining through, we got the orchestra playing on the background. This one, it's dead silence. All we got is the camera just looking straight out through the farm, out towards the farmhouse. All we hear is crickets. We see a cop pull up ever so slowly. As the camera zooms in, we just see the escalating of the scene. More cops, more blood. The one cop gets out. He looks around. He looks underneath one of these sheets. And what's interesting about this shot is that we see a verbatim shot of it later on in the movie when Wayne comes up to the house to talk to Howard. But he walks up the steps, and we're following like this blood trail from one body all the way up the steps to the front porch, where next to the door, the fucking hatchet is just on the ground, like stuck into the ground and everything. And you hear this reverend preacher, who, by the way, super important in this movie. I didn't realize how important this guy was until going back and rewatching it again, but it is every fucking where. Like, not only on the television, but you hear him on the radio. People are watching him. He's one of those fascist preachers who's like the Jamestown leader, who's like doom and gloom, following the steps of the Lord, all this shit. And something he says, funny enough, is in Pearl. It's a blink if you miss it moment. But when Pearl goes to the town, I want to say that first time, there's a guy wearing a sign that says the iconic quote that Maxine says a lot in this movie. Where is it? Where the hell is it? Something about make your life, fuck it, we'll get there when we get there. I have it somewhere in here, but something about I want the life that I don't deserve, or something like that. I don't know. We'll get there when we get there. I got a quote somewhere. I got all these fucking notes. I always got plenty of notes. So many notes. I'm just a note master who can't organize to save her life. But yes, this preacher is all over the TV. And I find it kind of ironic that in the blink if you miss a moment in Pearl that you see that quote on the dude's sign. So it makes you think, did this man, was that the man? Was that him? Or was that just someone he learned from? Was that something he was taught? Like, there's a lot of good questions here. A lot of good questions. Or it just could have been like a little nod or a reference. I don't know. I never really looked that too far into it. But I just thought it was a neat little thing. But as the officer is walking up, he walks into the house, and of course he's watching the sermon and everything. And this one cop walks up to him, and of course he says the cliche line like, "Chief, you better come take a look at this." Of course, cliche line is hell. So they go down to the basement, they go take a look, and we as the audience don't get to see what it is until later on, but we get to see their looks of horror when they're like, "Oh my God," and the camera zooms in to a dark corner, and it kind of fades in and out of the dark corner, and somebody lining up a perfectly good line of cocaine. Now, I had to give them credit, because granted, I saw the children attempt this in Cocaine Bear, and I was very disappointed in them. But Maxine, great job. 100% you're doing it correctly. I'm not going to lie. Again, guys, don't do drugs in real life. Seriously, don't do it. But I got to give kudos where I need to give kudos at. But Maxine, she's doing a line of cocaine. She's getting all ready. And fucking Wayne comes in, and he's just like, baby, you look beautiful, don't do too much of that, you know, because too much of a good thing will kill you. And then boom, 24 hours earlier. So this entire movie takes place within 24 fucking hours. Good to know. So after we get the little title card, 24 hours, Wayne proceeds to tell her, you're special, ain't no one else out there like you. And he kisses her, and it's all passionate and everything. And he's like, all right, come on, let's go. You know, everybody's waiting for you and whatnot. And he walks out, and she, of course, she cleans herself up a little bit. And she looks at the mirror, and with all the confidence in the world, she's just like, you are a fucking sex symbol. Like, that's confident as fuck. I'm not gonna lie. But granted, though, after a line of cocaine, I'm also very confident too. I'm not gonna lie. Like, seriously, people who do cocaine, confident as motherfuckers. Like, they will literally pick fights. Like, you seen a movie where a guy does a line of cocaine and wants to pick a fight? That's a true thing. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen it firsthand. Something about cocaine just makes people just lose their fucking shit, and they think they're invincible. They can do no wrong. They're a superhero. So after that, we cut to everyone kind of walking out of this, I want to say it's a strip club. It looks like a strip club. I'm not going to lie. Everybody's walking out, though, and of course we got, like, this cheesy, like, 1970 song playing. I recognize it when I hear it. I just can't think of the name of the song. But it's playing as they're all, like, piling into the vehicle. We got a big old Texas Chainsaw Massacre moment, or we just see everyone kind of hanging out, you know, the windows down, breeze in the air. Of course, one of them's rolling up a joint, you know, just having a good time. They're passing the script around. Of course, the script is A Farmer's Daughter. And while they're in the vehicle, we get, like, these nice character moments where, of course, Bobby Lynn talks about, you know, that she's going to be a star in this movie, and this is her American dream, and she's living the American dream right now. And she ends up chit-chatting with Wayne about how hopefully this ends up taking off, because, you know, the topless car wash idea was not a good idea. He was just like, first of all, topless car wash. That's an amazing idea. Second of all, though, I want to know, what did he do to IRS that they came down hard as fuck on him? Was he hoarding money? Was he hiding money? Was he just not telling them about the money? Was the topless car wash illegal? I got questions here, and I need to know, okay? But we don't dive into this. But I do have questions. Especially on the ethical practice of a topless car wash, because that seems like a good idea. Like, straight up. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Seems like a fantastic idea. Not only does it symbolize free the tatas, but it also symbolizes the fact that, well, no one's gonna get their clothes wet. You know, it's a topless car wash. I see a win-win for everybody. But the IRS came down, so, you know, they had to shut that down, but he's all giggling and laughing about it, and eventually they end up asking, you know, Maxine, you know, hey, you know, what's your American dream? And she sits there and she thinks about it. And she doesn't really make a mention of it. And I think in some aspect she is living her American dream, because we find out later on in this movie that the preacher that we've been hearing up and down throughout this entire movie, we even hear on the radio as they're driving by, that's her dad. That's her dad. Her dad's the fucking crazy cult leader dude that's all over television preaching about damnation and shit. And she got the fuck away. She's living her bestest damn life. So, hey, maybe she is living her American dream. But after that, they stop by a grocery gas station, not only fill up on supplies, but also film one of the scenes. Not the sexual scenes, just a typical 1970s porno setup scene where they have a bit of a storyline. Because, guys, I don't know if y'all know this, but, you know, old school pornography actually used to have storylines to it. Trust me, the Skinamax shit has some funny ass stories to it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, they got some creative ass shit going on when it comes to dirty movies. I'm not gonna lie. Like, straight up, ever get a chance, look at some old school Cinemax. We call it Skinamax because I think it was after 11 o'clock or midnight, it became Skinamax. So, don't know what that means? Google it. I'm sure somewhere on the internet somebody has put the definition of what Skinamax is, but it is exactly what you probably think it is, but it's nothing but a bunch of, like, dirty, cheap-ass porn movies. But that's the vibe, though. That's the vibe of, you know, the 1970 porn. They have, like, these fucking goofy-ass plot lines. And, of course, you know, everyone's all into it. But, not because of the plot line, because of the sex. But they gotta have plot, you know, because it's a real movie. It ain't just sex. Fucking RJ actually makes mention of it several times, of the fact that he's trying to make a movie. He's trying to make cinema. He ain't just trying to make a dirty movie. He's trying to make art, damn it. Art. But while we're at the grocery store, of course Maxine wants this to take off, that she deserves nice things. She earns nice things. She has expensive taste, and Wayne's like, oh, I fucking know you have expensive ass taste, my love. I love you too. And they keep joking, you know, back and forth about, you know, this needs to take off, because if it doesn't take off, they're going to be working with hard hats, and that's just not the life they want to live. They want to live the life of luxury, and they don't need Hollywood. They're going to make it themselves. Maxine also makes a note about how she's not a big fan of RJ's girlfriend, which is Lorraine, you know, Jenna Ortega's character. And it's mainly because she's shy. She doesn't speak much. She doesn't say much. All she does is stare. And, of course, Wayne, you know, being the cool-ass motherfucker, is just like, she's probably just shy, you know, got questions, doesn't know how to answer this shit. And we get to see kind of how shy she is, because we cut to her and Bobby Lynn outside getting everything set up, and she's holding a little microphone, just standing there, and Bobby Lynn's just chewing her gum and, you know, playing with her hair a little bit. She looks like fucking Marilyn Monroe, by the way. She looks like straight-up Marilyn Monroe, except it's a red dress. But she's over there and they're chit-chat. She's just like, so, do you help your boyfriend out with all his movies? Sometimes, yeah. She looks at Jackson. So, is he your boyfriend? Sometime, yeah. And walks the fuck off. Like, that's how awkward the conversation is between them. Like I don't know. They're just she's just that shy or awkward because they're very sex-driven. They're very sex-positive. And then, like I said, this movie is, like, sex through and through. And these are very sex-positive people. And one of the debates that happened later on in this movie is about the difference between when the camera's on and when the camera's off. But we'll get there when we get there. So, after that little awkward moment between Bobby Lynn and Lorraine, they start filming the scene. Of course, Jackson grabs the nozzle and he puts it into the vehicle, and Bobby Lynn looks over and goes, you know, if you take the camera and tilt it up this way, it will almost look like his dick. And everyone stops and looks at her, so they get up and they adjust the camera, and yep, it looks like he's just standing there with his dick in hand while he's pumping gas. And he's all proud of himself too. Like, he's doing that whole, like, stance, like he's just showing his shit off. And again, man, I seen the man's silhouette. Show it off, dude. Show it off, because that thing is a beast. That thing is a fucking beast. So after all you know, jokes about, you know, it looks like he's holding his cock, and, you know, they're filming the scene and all that, we did cut back to Maxine and Wayne checking out. Of course, the preacher's talking about, you know, say no to sex. And, you know, Wayne makes the jokes just saying, oh, well, you know how teenagers are with sex nowadays. You know, we just, you know, everyone just loves it. Everything's all great. And they awkwardly leave out the store. And, of course, Bobby Lynn and him ended up talking about, you know, yet again, the same thing him and Maxine were talking about in the story about, we need this to take off. You need to get your A game, quit fucking around, let's go. And eventually they all pile back into the vehicle and they drive off. Oh shit. And they drive off down the road, and unfortunately about halfway down the road they run into a little bit of a traffic accident. And this is where the practical effects really shine, as weird as that sounds. Is basically they had a Halloween 2 moment where a semi, instead of an ambulance by the way, a semi hit a cow and fucked up the cow. Like, the cow's entrails are all over the place. They're fucking, gotta ride over this shit. Poor, Maxine, she's about to vomit and everything, because it's just nasty. I mean, hell, the dude hit a cow. I hear hitting a cow's like hitting the side of a fucking house. Really painful. Really fucking painful, because they're like bricks. They don't move. But after all that, we also see the cop from the beginning of the movie that was looking around. And of course, they were just like, "Hey, Chief, you need to come check it out." He's hanging around. He's having a good time, doing his normal little shenanigans. But eventually, after that, we then cut to them finally making it to the farm, and they're talking about how this is going to save a lot of money on production, and this is going to be fantastic. And we get a good look of the farm. Instead of like the opening where we just saw, just the farmhouse and a little bit of the inside, we actually get a good view of the farm itself, and we see how decrepit and run down it is. It's not well taken care of at all, especially the barn's not as bright and red as it was back in the day. But again, years of sun damage, years of farm labor and all that shit, years of not taking care of it, definitely could do that shit. But after they pull up and we see, just the oldness of the place, especially the fact that it's overgrown as hell, like all these, like it's not cut grass or anything, so it looks very run down and shit. But Wayne's just like, "Alright guys, I'll be right back, I'm gonna go talk to the guy." He walks out and he goes all the way to the front of the house, and he sees the knock, he goes, "Hey, Mr. Howard," I can't think of his last name, "Hey, you here?" And while that is happening, Lorraine and RJ are having a bit of a conversation in the back of the van, and Lorraine makes a comment about how she's uncomfortable with doing this because of the fact that it's a dirty movie, like, how can you be okay with this? It's a dirty movie, like, you said that I would be helping, but I was not expecting this. And RJ looks at her and just goes, "When did you become such a prude?" Like, straight up, like, bro. And it's funny, and it's fucking funny, because she turns around and uses that right back at him later on in this movie. But the shit pisses me off because of the fact that she's allowed to question this type of shit. Some people are uncomfortable with a lot of sex going on. Like, some people are just like, "Hey, between the man and woman, call it a day." Other people are like, "Hey, free sex for all." So for her to sit there and just go, "Hey, this makes me uncomfortable," and his comment back is, "When did you become such a prude?" makes me want to smack the fuck out of him. I'm not gonna lie. Granted, he probably didn't tell her exactly what the hell was going on when doing this movie. I don't think he made mention, because she seemed pretty pissed about coming along on this road trip after a while. But I do feel like she is friends with all of them. She probably knows what they're doing, so she should be kind of well aware of, what they're doing. But she still has a right to be uncomfortable about the situation, especially with the fact that she's watching two people have sex. Just, not even casual sex, just like paid sex. So, yeah, she's allowed to be uncomfortable. And for the fact that, RJ is going to sit there and go, "Oh, you're such a prude," it makes you just want to smack the shit out of him. It really does. It truly does. That's why I do not feel sorry for him later on in this movie. We'll get there when we get there. But she's just like, I'm not being a prude. I don't get this. I really don't. And before we can finish that conversation, we cut back to Wayne outside of, the front Howard's house, knocking on, "Hey, Mr. Howard, it's me." Howard comes out, he's like, "You from the county?" No, sir, I'm not." "Are you sure? Because it's trespassing. Now, I know my laws." And he pulls out a fucking shotgun, and he cocks it back, and he comes... like, straight as comes out wailing, and fucking poor Wayne sitting out there with his hands up like, "Whoa, bro, I'm not from the county, I swear, I am not from that county." And he's just like, "Bro, it's me. We talked on the phone about renting out the guest house. Yeah, not from the county." Without missing a beat, Howard's just like, "Huh. Okay. That's fine. Okay, sorry about the miscommunication." Puts the gun down. And fucking Wayne's just like, "Dude, you scared me waving that shit around. And Howard, again, without missing a beat, like, it shouldn't. It's not even loaded. I just carry it around because sometimes moving it around does his job. And Wayne's just like, yeah, I got one too. Which, remember that, by the way. Remember he says that he has a gun in his vehicle. And he just has it to wave around. Remember that, because I forgot about that first time I watched this movie. And straight up, my jaw hit the floor when she pulled that trigger and there was no bullets. I was just like, he really meant it. He really meant it when he said he too has a gun with no bullets in that he just likes to wave around. But yeah, I fucking love that. Just Howard's sense of humor about the whole thing. Just, it's empty anyway. Shouldn't be worrying you. Like, bro, that's still a gun you're waving around. How am I supposed to know it's not loaded? Like, I'm not the one holding it here. But Wayne, being a cool dude, is like, yes, sir, I completely agree with you on that. So everyone starts unpacking and getting out of the van and everything. And Maxine catches a glimpse of Pearl, who is watching her from the window, being extra creepy. But this is actually the first time we get a look at Pearl, since the movie Pearl, actually. This is the first time we get to look at her. She's seen better days, because she old. Oh, she hit that age, but we didn't get this really, I like this shot. I personally like this shot, but it's like a elongated shot of watching them walk from one end of this field to the other to head towards the guest house. And about halfway through, we cut to behind Wayne and Howard, and again, we're just looking at the back the whole time. But Howard at one point just stops, starts coughing repeatedly, bends down, clutches his chest. Wayne comes over just like, hey man, or hey old timer, you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Let's go. And he keeps on walking. Like, bro, you just nearly coughed up a lung. Like, do you need to sit down? I think we got it from here, Grandpa. Like, we're not trying to be mean, but damn it, man. So they get inside and they're setting everything up. And Howard looks at Wayne and goes, so did you serve in the war? And he's like, nah. Got 2 left feet. And Jackson, of course, he chimes in with, oh yeah, I served in the Marines this many years, toured this many tours, you know, we Marines gotta stick together, you know. A big hoorah moment. Which I fucking love that shit. That Jackson straight up just chimes in and just tells you how much of a badass he truly is. Like, straight up, like, the man has got confidence. He's written with confidence. He's acted with confidence. This man is not to be fucked with. And especially, again, the silhouette. The fucking silhouette. And once again, guys, y'all don't get it. We'll get there when we get there. But the point is, I like Jackson as a character because he is a strong character. And it's not like he's the alpha male of the group. Especially with the fact that we have 3 dudes and 3 females here. And, of course, you know, 2 of them are a couple. The other 2 are a couple. And then the other 2 are a couple. So there's like, you know, a 3-couple dynamic going on. And no one's pissing each other's cereal to a degree. Like, no one's trying to fuck around. No one's trying to goof around or anything like that. No one's trying to out-determine or out-man the other person, you know. Especially in this industry. I'm very proud of the way they're written, of the fact that they're just strong, cool dudes. Like, they're not trying to outbeat each other. And I like that. Like, I'll say it again. I just like that. But after he ends up chiming in, Howard is eyeballing Maxine. And, of course, Maxine, throughout this entire movie, which is something I forgot to mention, by the way, when it comes to the clothing in this movie. With Pearl, you know, the clothing, of course, is supposed to be very bright and vivid and standing out. You know, everything's supposed to be cute and clean. And very modest, but sexual to her, you know, because it's just the brightness of these colors. Very bold choices. In this one, there's very little clothing for a lot of these characters. Like, everywhere we look, like, someone's shirtless, someone is wearing next to nothing. There is just people just wearing just hats. Like, I'm not even lying. Like, it's not really a hat, but it's like a little bandana at one point. But the point is, there's a less clothing in this movie. But again, this whole movie is supposed to be sexualized because of what this movie is supposed to represent. And I think it's a good choice. I think it's a good choice to have Maxine at certain points just straight up be proud of her body and be proud of what she's got, and she's not trying to hide it or tuck it in. And of course, Howard's gonna fucking look. Howard's a man. Howard's a man with good taste. I'm not gonna lie. Mia Goth is a gorgeous ass woman, and she portrays her gorgeousness very well in this movie. But, Howard's taking a look at her, and fucking Wayne's like, hey, Howard, you eyeball my fiance over here. You better watch it, buddy. You're trying to joke around. And Howard ain't having it. Howard's just like, I don't like none of you motherfuckers. I like none of y'all. Y'all come around, and y'all are just wee naked laddies and lads. Just, no, I'm not okay with any of this. And he storms the fuck off. And this is after fucking Wayne tried to bribe him with more money, because apparently Wayne didn't tell him about all these extra people he was bringing. So, of course, Howard and Wayne are not getting off on the best foot, but they're going to let bygones be bygones. Howard goes back to the house. Wayne stays here. And Lorraine speaks up and just straight up asks Wayne, does he know what the hell we're doing here? And Wayne, without missing him beat, just like, oh, little church mouse speaks. No, he don't know what's going on here, and we're going to keep it that way. He's an old man. I'm sure he hasn't had his pecker hard in quite some time. Let's not give him a heart attack anytime soon. Let's go ahead and get this filming started. Straight up, it's just a porn scene. Just sex. That's literally it. It's just sex. Like, I'm not even going to dive into detail on this. It's just sex. Like, we get to watch sex. But it's very tasteful sex, very well done. You get a little direction from the camera guy. RJ's just like, all right, now let's tilt your head up, now be passionate now. And fucking, Brittany Snow's like all into this. Like, she's a fantastic fucking actress. She could fake this shit. She could fucking fake it. And fucking kid over there is just like going ham and shit. Like, he is like proud of himself this entire time. But while this sex scene is going on, Maxine decides to take a walk to the lake. So she's wearing the classic overalls with no shirt. So we're getting a lot of side boob action going on. And she's being a boss ass and a gorgeous ass bitch, especially smoking a cigarette too. But as she goes to the lake, she doesn't realize she's being followed by Pearl, who is watching her from afar. And again, I find it funny that the fact that Mia Goth not only plays Maxine, but she plays Pearl as well. And Pearl is like fascinated with herself, because again, they're the same actors, so they're supposed to be portrayed as looking very similar to each other. The only difference is Maxine's got a bit of a birthmark over her eye, which she does a good job covering up, but you still kind of see a little bit of the sprinkles on the other side of her cheek and everything, where Pearl had a more of a perfect look to her. But Pearl is obsessed with almost herself because of the fact that she sees the X factor that Maxine has, because Maxine has made mention several times that she has it. She has that X factor. She has the star power. And Pearl, that's all she wanted was the X factor. She wanted to be the star. How she said that multiple times in the movie, that I'm gonna be a star, like straight up. So yeah, she's creepily watching her, and Maxine, of course, she sticks her foot in the pond, and and we all know about the fucking gator, especially from Pearl. But if you watch X and then watch Pearl, you don't know there's a gator in the pond. But she is, just like having a good time, just dipping her toes in. And we keep cutting back and forth between Maxine hanging out by the lake, the porn video going on, and Wayne and RJ talking about it. So once Maxine puts her foot in the water, we cut to RJ, and Wayne's just all excited about what they just witnessed in there. And fucking RJ goes, it's not just a dirty movie, it's cinema, and that's what the others are missing. They're missing the fact that this is supposed to be the movies. This is supposed to be cinema, not just dirty smuck. Like, bro is trying to be artsy with pornography over here. It's like he saw into the future and knew 365 Days was going to be a movie one of these days. And he's like, I'm going to capitalize on this. Which is another connection to Pearl, because of the fact that the projectionist, he wanted to capitalize on the dirty smut films at the time that were going around. He wanted to get ahead of it, and I think that's why this whole thing kind of triggered Pearl to a degree, because she does walk in at several points in the movie, and she's very aroused at this point. But you gotta remember, she was always aroused by the movies and about being a star. So bringing all this to the forefront, kind of reminding her of what she had back in the day, really set a trigger off in her. And I don't think it was for the best for anybody, to be honest. I don't think, even though Maxine walks out happy as fuck, I don't think it was the best for anybody in this movie. But yeah, there's a connection though with the pornography between the two movies, because of the fact that she really didn't like the smut idea. She even said in Pearl that she does not like smut movies. So that also could be part of her rage and anger towards them, because they're making a dirty movie which she kind of despises. But in some aspect as well, she also envies what's going on, and we'll get there when we get there. But after that, we then cut to Bobby Lynn and Jackson cleaning up from the scene, and of course, you know, Jackson's all like proud of himself. He's standing in front of the window, just dick out and all, just so proud of himself. And Bobby Lynn's just like, yeah, that was great. You know, it's called acting. It's fantastic. You know, you're really good though. And he's just like, oh, baby, I know acting, and I know when I do a good job, and I did a great job. And she's like, oh, really? And pretends to fake moan and fake have sex. You know, she's doing the whole like, oh my god, yes, fuck me in the pussy. You know, she's doing all that shit right there. And he looks like so defeated by this. He's just like, and she's like, oh, don't you worry about it. You did a good job anyway. Come here now, and pulls him in. Just like, bitch, you fucking with him. Quit messing with his ego. Don't be messing with this man's ego here. And after that silly moment, though, we cut back to Maxine, who is still hanging out by the pool, and Pearl's still kind of getting a little closer and closer, and watches Maxine undress and hot straight into the water and start swimming around. And of course, we cut to the gator hanging out in one of the corners of the pond. Don't ask me why there's been so many gators. I'm trying to figure out, what is this deal with horror movies where they got to give old women pet gators? First of all, where do you find a pet gator? Like, are you going out in the wilderness? Are you going to one of these gator farms and grabbing an egg? Like, seriously, I got questions here about where these old women are getting these gators. Like, let's ask Betty White's real quick from Lake Placid. Where the hell she got her gator? She wants to say it just swam up here and got caught in the lake and all that shit, but she was still willing to feed it, even after it killed her husband. I was starting to believe old crazy women just like having pet gators as defensive animals or something like that. I don't know. I have no idea. But as she is, Maxine is in the water having a good time swimming around. We got this nice POV overhead shot of her, you know, laying out flat, and then she decides to swim back. And as she's swimming, we see the gator coming up behind her, and there's this really intense moment of just watching her slowly swim to the dock with the gator slowly coming around like he's getting ready to go in for the kill. And then we cut to like a front POV shot of her, you know, swimming to the dock, and we see the gator still behind her, but she sits up and she pulls herself up, and we're all like biting our nails at this point. We're like, oh my fucking god, the gator's gonna get her this early in the goddamn movie, holy shit. But no, she's fine, she okay, she fine. So then, once she gets done, we cut back to, again, the porno setup plot line, and we get to see Jackson, you know, knock on the door, and he's just like, my van broke down a couple of miles down the road, and I was wondering if we could use your phone. Now, I will admit, for porn actors, they are really good actors. Like, I actually felt them 100%. Like, Bobby Lynn did a good job playing the farmer's daughter. She was just a fucking treat. Like, I could see her in an actual pornography film. Like, it was great. Fantastic. 10 out of 10 would definitely recommend them for a at-home release video. I'm not even gonna lie. But we get to see the whole scene play out of them, you know, acting just, oh, she wants you. come on in, sir. Just, like, seriously, straight up 70 cheese. So after that, Maxine's heading back up to the from her swim, and she sees Pearl standing out on the porch. She waves at her and then does the little hush thing, her famous thing that she did in the Pearl movie. And of course, Maxine, just out of curiosity, goes up there and goes to investigate. And we see the house, and it looks very identical to the house from Pearl. Because again, they filmed the movies back to back. I want to say what they probably ended up doing was keeping the set and just tattering it and making it look dirty, or vice versa, where they had it dirty and they made it look clean for Pearl. Because I don't know which one they filmed first. I really don't. I want to say they did film Pearl first, and then they were filming Pearl and X at the same time, and then they finished off X. Because that would make the most sense, to take a house from pristine to oldness in a quick fashion than having to do it the other way around, where you have to renovate the house. But I digress. But the point is, the house looks exactly the same. It's very dirty, though, very old. The paint's chiseling off, wallpaper's decrepit, fucking dirty dishes are everywhere. For some strange reason, pan's on the stove, just chilling out there. Not cooking anything, the pan's just on the stove, just burning away. And then we have Pearl. Pearl is standing there in the kitchen holding a glass of lemonade. And again, at the ending of Pearl, when Howard comes home from war, she is standing there with a glass of lemonade. So it's kind of a good nod towards the ending of the movie. Her first words are like her first intro words. Because again, when we originally see Pearl, we see her from afar. She doesn't say many words. It's not until this scene right here she says something. And of course, the first words out of her mouth is, "Do you want some lemonade?" Sweet old woman. And so, same time this scene's going on, they're still filming the 70s porno down the road. And of course, they're talking about lemonade too. Just, it's some freshly squeezed lemonade. It's my delicious. Yeah, I made it myself. Just like, Jesus Christ, man. I love the writing. I love the writing of this movie because it felt like a 1970s porno. Like, straight up. If you ever get a chance, guys, seriously, look some of this shit up. Like, I'm not gonna give you any names of the website, but seriously, Google some of this shit. It's fantastic. Like, I died laughing. Like, I'm not even turned on at any point. I'm just laughing my ass off because the stories are so hysterical. It ain't even funny. Like, that joke that the dad always makes about, what did she hire this plumber anyway? It's not like he actually cleaned her plumbing. Well, technically he did. I mean her actual plumbing, not her female plumbing. Like, it's literally that kind of, logic behind some of these porno stories. But again, I digress. So, while that awkward lemonade porno scene is going on, we cut back to Maxine sitting there with Pearl. Awkward as fuck, like nobody's saying anything, they're just staring at each other, and you get to see how amazing the practical effects that Mia Goth is wearing. It's fantastic. Her and Howard look great and creepy as old people. I'm not even gonna lie, it looks fucking amazing. Ooh, excuse moi. But while they're sitting there awkwardly, Maxine grabs the glass of lemonade. I'm thinking, okay, she's gonna take a little sip and then put it down and have an awkward conversation. No. She full on chugs the lemonade, puts it down, wipes her mouth, and awkwardly just goes, "I think I should be going now." Like, nobody wants to be around Pearl. Like, everyone just feels terrible vibes from Pearl. But Pearl kind of agrees, and she's like, "Okay, well, you must, let's go." And she proceeds to walk her out. And as she's about to walk out, she gets caught by her old wedding photo, and she walks up to it. She looks at it, and she's just like, I used to be young and vibrant at one point too. I used to be young and beautiful, and I used to have oh god, how is it going? I used to have those looks, and I was young and pretty. also, apparently, it's actually brought up at one point that Howard went to not one but two wars. Two wars, by the way. So we knew about the first war. We knew he was in World War One, especially in Pearl, because that was the whole reason he ended up going was because of the fact that, you know, he wanted to defy his family. He was just like, no, I'm fuck you guys. You know, y'all didn't want me to be a farmer, so I'm gonna be an army boy. And then for some reason he went to the Second World War. Now during this time, apparently, she did, in fact, get to live her dream. She was a dancer. I was very shocked about that, especially, you know, the fact that in Pearl, that's all she wanted to be was a dancer. And she actually got to have a taste of it. And I can see her bitterness. She got to taste the life she wanted. She wanted to be that dancer. That just was her life goal. And, of course, World War II happened and ruined it for her and stopped her from living her dream. Because we know how nasty World War II was. But she proceeds to also continue on to discuss how everything must come to an end, though, you know, because of the war, and that, you know, she's very bitter about that. She's very, very bitter about that. But again, I don't blame her. I don't blame her whatsoever because, like I said, that's all she wanted. She got her dream smashed in 1918, then got rejuvenated probably from Howard, because Howard probably came in and told her everything she wanted to hear, because Howard ultimately loves her, which inspired her, I guess, to go out and do what she wanted, got into dancing, got somewhere in the dance, because we get to see a picture of her in her full dance outfit and actually dancing on stage. I'm not sure how long she got to do it, so it was probably just a couple of years, but that shit would piss me off too if I got to taste the life I wanted. If I got just a handful of years, and then just for them to be taken away in the snap of a finger, like a Thanos over here, just, it is done. Boom, and gone. Just everything you ever wanted just gone. I would be bitter and angry too. I'd be very bitter and angry too. But as she's, you know, going on about how young and pretty she once was, and how Howard went to war because of this, you know, how men are willing to do a lot of things for pretty women back in the day, and how she became a dancer and all this shit, she looks at Maxine and says, you have such a special face. You have such a special look. Look at yourself. And she turns her towards the mirror, and as she's going on about how beautiful and young and bright and vivid Maxine is, she is slowly getting closer to Maxine. Remember, Maxine's wearing the overall outfit with no shirt on, so, you know, her whole side is exposed. And Pearl, with her creepy little fingers, comes over there and just touches Maxine's side. Freaks her the fuck out. And she's like, what are you doing? And, you know, of course, Howard pulls up, and she's just like, shh, this could be our little secret, but you need to go now. Don't let Howard see you. And kind of pushes her out. And Maxine, of course, not wasting the opportunity, dips the fuck out. I don't blame her, though. I really don't. So, as she, you know, slowly walks out, she waits till Howard leaves, and she runs the fuck off. Like, she just takes off running. And of course, she runs into Wayne, who's like, where the fuck you been? We've been all looking for you. We're losing daylight. Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. And we proceed to do her scene. So she's getting all ready. And this is the quote, by the way. This was the quote I was looking for right here that we saw on the sign for Pearl. But the quote is, I will not accept the life I do not deserve. And Maxine ends up saying it here after she does a line of cocaine. She looks in the mirror. She just, I will not accept the life I do not deserve. And she stands up all confident like, because again, cocaine has that magical ability. And she walks out there. She fucking passionately makes out with Wayne, because she's all into this. She's like, woo, let's do this, man. And she walks off into the barn, and everybody goes in there, because that's where they're filming the scene. And they get to inside the barn, and of course, the setup is she's milking the cow. Jackson comes in. Shit happens. Shit happens. We're just gonna leave it at that. Shit happens. We all know how 1970 pornos are. But as you know, that's all going on. Pearl is in her room. She's brushing her hair, and what's kind of like ear cringing is the fact that her hair, I guess, is so matted or tangled or something of whatsoever. But the point is, it feels very painful when you hear her just as she's brushing her hair. And of course, she's putting on this like heavy, like dark blue eyeshadow on her eyes. And she's looking, she's trying to look all cute and shit. She's trying to like doll herself up. She's feeling nice and frisky now. But as that's going on, like I said, we got the porno scene, and, it's just all like, hey, I got told, the master of the house was in here. Oh, daddy's not here, and he, you can't be disturbing him. But I'm sure my sister could have told you that. Oh, your sister, she didn't tell you about, she never told me about you. Oh, of course she doesn't. She's jealous because I'm younger and the prettier, and all the boys like me, and blah, blah, blah. We know how the porno goes. But in the midst of all this, when she's having sex with Jackson, of course, everybody, I'm talking about everybody, Lorraine, Bobby Lynn, fucking Wayne, everybody is just watching Maxine having a good fucking time on Jackson. It's like all eyes are on her. She has that X factor. You can see that while everybody's watching her. Like even Lorraine, Jenna Ortega's character, whole time she's holding that microphone, she's into it. You can tell with just her eyes, she's into this, And of course, Pearl, she's into this too, because she sneaks up and she's watching through the window. And as she's watching this, she's like visualizing herself having sex with Jackson and having a good time. So now she's all riled up and feeling frisky and feeling great about life. And she goes into the house, and there's Howard sitting on the sofa, and she comes in. She leans up against the piano. She's wearing this cute little dress. She's kind of holding it too. I guess she's trying to look sexy, for Howard. And Howard looks up at her and he's like, you're beautiful, but, my heart, it's old. It can't take it. I'm sorry, but the answer is no. And he kisses her on the forehead and he walks off. And poor Pearl's just sit there, just with deflated, just, but, like seriously, and, I feel that because, to a lot of people, sex is an intimate thing. It's very intimate, it's very passionate, it's very combining of the two souls to a degree. And again, that's where one of the biggest messages coming up in the next scene about about the whole sexual revolution, especially in 1970, was a big trend back in the day. Because, there wasn't a lot of sex. Like, let's go back to the not The Haunting of Hill House, The Last House on the Left. That movie, very similar to this with the sexual exploitations of the movie. The fact that they're trying to revolutionize what sex is. The Last House on the Left, it's a very gratuitous, gross-ass, sick-ass movie. But they use the sex to push the movie to what it's famous for, the rape scenes, the uncomfortableness of the entire situation that happens between those two girls is pushed because of the sex. And that is something that, it's like I've said, time and time again, is the sex is predominant in this movie all the way around. But we'll get there when we get there, when we get to the scene. But Pearl, though, she wants it, she desires it, and she can't have it. And it makes sense because that's her husband. That's somebody she loves. And it's disappointing when you want something, especially that intimacy, and you can't get it because heart problems. So after that, we cut back to the guest house with all the younger folks all hanging out. And they're talking about Maxine's X Factor and how she's got it. And Lorraine, of course, is just staring. And Maxine's had enough of it. She's like, why are you staring? What do you want? What is going on? What is going through your head right now? And she's just like, why? Like, why are y'all doing this? Like, how can y'all do this? And Wayne's just like, oh, so you got a question, Church Mouse? Well, ask your question. What exactly is your question? And her exact question is, how can y'all do this? And Wayne replies, simple, well, this is work. As when the cameras are rolling, is work. Like, I see nothing wrong with it. This is just business. And she's just like, so what about love? Well, of course we believe in love. We have morals. We're not inhuman over here. You can choose who you love, but not who you screw. It's all attraction. Everybody likes sex. Everybody loves sex. Drop the old moral ways. It will get you nowhere in life. It's like where I'm going. I'm sorry. I like where I'm going, not where I came from. Now, like I said, this whole conversation about sex, about the general idea of having sex in front of the camera, what is the difference? And Wayne is right to a degree that the camera does make a difference when it comes to having sex. If you are filming a sex scene, if you are filming a pornography, and you're having sex with a random stranger, you're having sex with a bunch of people. Like, I'm sorry. There are fluffers. There are fucking candy stripe people. Don't ask me what those are. Seriously, don't ask me. But, there's a group of people that work together to do this movie, and they're having sex. And it takes a special person in your life, especially if you're in a relationship, to understand that there is a difference between having sex with that camera on and having sex with that camera off. And that is one of the biggest arguments when it comes to pornography and sex scenes in movies in general, is where do we draw the line at? When does it become too real for the camera? And I'm going to be honest, I want to say that the girls are right. Everybody likes sex to a degree. Of course, you got your people like asexuals and all that who are just not sexually attracted to anybody or sexually active at all. But the general consensus, especially back in 1979, was everybody liked sex. Because sex was everywhere. And it's true, sex is everywhere. Sex is everywhere nowadays. And granted, they're getting less and less, but sex is everywhere. It's in our TVs, our movies, our commercials, fucking gag reels, YouTube, Twitch. It's fucking everywhere. Because that's just what the world is. Everybody likes sex. Not everybody should have sex, though. I'm going to say it straight up. Not everybody should be having sex when they want to have sex. I think sex should be reserved for mature people who can understand the consequences of their actions and what's going on. And I'm just going to leave it at that. But the point is, everybody likes sex. You can choose who you love, though. You cannot choose who you have sex with. And I'm going to be honest, it's not true. You cannot choose who you have sex with. Because of the fact that if you're attracted to somebody sexually, that does not mean you're in love with them. It does not mean you want to take them home to mommy and daddy and go, this is my boyfriend. It just means you have the same sexual attraction towards each other. Like, again, that's why you have one-night stands. You have your fucking Tinder dates. Shit like that. Because that's just how human nature works. And that's why we have the whole joke about the hookup culture, about the Tinder culture. Nobody wants to settle down and have a relationship and get married. Everyone just wants to have sex. Sex this, sex that. And that's okay, because sex positivity goes a long way. And that's something else brought up in this movie. It's the sex positivity. And again, they say it, right here, drop the moral ways. It will get you nowhere in life. I like where I'm going, not where I came from. And that they're proud to be having sex. And they're proud to be enjoying the sex and getting people off. They even cheer for the perverts that watch these dirty films. And I like the sex positivity, especially in horror movies. Having sex is one of those taboo things, the no-nos, because, having sex, doing drugs, that's going to lead you to the killer's arms. That was always the status quo. So for them to kind of flip it and make the whole movie based on sex, and anybody can go, and the virgin, who would be Gina Ortega's character, technically dies at the end of this movie. She technically fucking dies. I like that. I fucking like that, like, straight up. But yeah, I do agree with what Bobby Lynn and Maxine are saying though about there is a difference between love and having sex, and when you and there's something I was mentioning earlier about the bonding. Some people believe that when you have sex, that is you bonding, and that is having a level moment, and that's why people are committed to one person. They don't want to share that love and that bonding with other people. And this is why you have, you know, Jenna Ortega's Lorraine's character questioning this shit. Because she's probably used to just being with RJ. She's not used to everyone being sex positive and high-fiving each other and having group orgies and all this shit. She's probably not used to that. So, of course, she's going to be questioning it and wondering it and, you know, thinking about, well, that Jackson's dick. I'm not going to lie. She is probably thinking about Jackson's dick. She saw enough of it. I'll be thinking about that shit, too. Granted, my train of thought would be, dear God, don't let that thing near me. Just don't do it. Like, straight up, don't do it. But I like the fact that they're willing to entertain her and actually answer her question and not just shut her down. She's willing to ask these questions and just figure out, why is this okay? And again, like I said, it makes sense. The camera does make a difference. Like, straight up. Like, granted, though, don't go and have an affair and have your husband walk in and just go, baby, it's okay, we're just filming a porno. That's not how that works. Like, straight up, that's not how that works. But in a professional standpoint, if your girl is a porn actress and she's doing her thing, you can't get mad at the dude railing her from behind. You know, she's not cheating on you. She's just making a living, bro. She's just making a living. And you the one that chose to stay with her. But don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's a lot of benefits and concerns all in one in that relationship. But that's none of my business, though. But as they're going on, Wayne makes the mention about how, you know, they want to hit that home video market, just like how the projectionist and Pearl wanted to, you know, get her ahead of the curve with the smut films. They want to do the same thing. Yeah. Get on home video so everyone can enjoy these movies in the privacy of their own home and not have to go to these weird, kinky shops and watch these movies. And they're all like, cheer, cheers, hooray, you know, the cheers on the beers, let's have a good time. And then, as they're cheering, of course, each of them choose for something different. Of course, they cheer about being young, about having all the sex, about loving life, about living life, about just being themselves, and about being happy about what they just saw. And then after that, we get this kind of nice, but out of left field moment where Jackson's playing guitar and Bobby is singing a actually very cute but kind of cheesy 70s song. I fucking love it though. But as she's singing it, of course, we get this kind of intercut and kind of splice in a very 70s aspect of Pearl sitting in front of her mirror. She's wiping off the makeup. You know, she's down because, again, she wanted to get laid. And her husband's like, oh, no, my heart, can't do it. So she's upset. So we sadly get to see her, you know, take all her makeup off, get dressed, you know. Just feel her sadness and her overwhelmed depression. She lays down to go to sleep, and the song ends. At the end of the song, without missing a beat, you know, everything's quiet. It's just super quiet, you know. Yeah, I guess we're supposed to take the song in. We're all supposed to be like, oh, beautiful song, baby girl. That's a beautiful song. But no, Lorraine is just like, I want to be in one of the scenes. What? Like, seriously, straight up, RJ, like, there's like a quiet, awkward silence moment after she says, I want to be in one of the scenes. RJ's just like, what? Like, what do you mean you want to be in one of the scenes? And she's just like, I liked what I saw, and, you know, if I'm going to be part of something magical and one of a kind and interesting, I don't want to be behind the scenes. I want to be in the movie. And RJ's like, no, I don't want you in that movie. No. And she's like, well, why not? Why not? And, of course, he keeps making up excuses after excuses. He's like, well, and granted, though, these are some good-ass excuses, because at first he's like, well, we can't rewrite the entire script. I mean, we're about halfway through it, so what's really the point of doing this? And she's just like, well, you could just write it. Yeah, they did it in the Psycho. Well, yeah, because that is a horror movie with a spiritual twist in it. That's not what I'm making. And she then uses his words against him by going, oh, when'd you become such a prude? Like, damn, just bitch slapped him back with those words. It's like, oh. So it was fun, artsy cinema when you were watching these people get fucked and I was uncomfortable. But now it's a taboo subject when you're uncomfortable and I want to be the one getting fucked. Gotcha. And poor RJ takes this shit to heart, though. Like, it really, like, fucks with him because the entire time he's just stoic and it looks like he's about to bust out crying at any moment. And he is angry, though. He's fucking angry as shit. And Wayne, of course, Wayne comes in to save the day, and he's just like, hey, RJ, let's go outside before things are said and regretted later. They go outside. He's just like, Wayne, you gotta back me up here, man. She can't do this. She can't go out there. And he looks in the window and sees the girls taking her to the back. And he's like, listen, you've never been 42. I've been 23, okay? And if she's going to do this, she's going to do this whether you like it or not. So I say let her do this. Otherwise, she's going to go off and have sex with God knows who and how many movies. And we don't want that now, do we? But she's going to get fucked by Jackson. And Jackson's clean and he knows what he's doing. Now, come on, man. Like, you got to be okay with this. And he's just like, but she's different. She's different. She's not like the other girls. And Wayne, of course, his face changes for a second. He's just like, excuse me? Well, I mean, she's nice and she's good. Listen, man, I hate to break it to you, but there is no good girls out there. None of these girls are good. And he walks the fuck off, leaving RJ traumatized, about ready to cry. They walk into the fucking room. Of course, they gotta give him the camera and set him up because he's so fucked up because of the fact that he's gotta film his girlfriend getting railed by Jackson. And she's wearing her Sunday best, by the way. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, watch the movie. You'll get the joke. You'll get the fucking joke. But she's wearing her Sunday best, and he's just defeated, man, defeated. We then cut over to the following night. Or that night. And of course everybody's like passed the fuck out because everybody else had a good time. Everybody else has been having a great time. RJ, on the other hand, he's having a bit of a miserable time. And he's in the shower and he proceeds to start crying. Just his heart is broken. Because again, he came up with all these excuses of why she couldn't do the movie when in actual reality what he should have told her was, I don't want you to do this because I don't want to watch you get fucked by another man. He was jealous. He was jealous of the fact that he was going to have to watch his girl get fucked by another man. And he couldn't man up and tell her the truth. He had to come up with these excuses. He had to bring her down. He had to fuck her up and piss her off to the point that she had to buck back. And I don't agree with what she did now. I'm going to be straight up honest. I do not agree with what she did. Because of the fact that he said no, even though he gave up a whole bunch of excuses, his no should have been enough for her to want to talk to him in private about this. Be like, okay, why is it a no? What is going on? It's again, like I said, suddenly it's a taboo subject now that I want to get in this movie and get fucked. But beforehand it was just a fun job, a cinema. It was just a good time. People should have been honest with each other. People should have spoken out. People should have said something, but nobody said anything. Everybody kind of wanted to act immature about the situation. And Wayne didn't help by egging on the fact that he just wanted more sex. And I think even RJ calls him out on it, just saying, you just want more sex in the movie. I mean, hell, even Lorraine made a comment about that. She was just saying, listen, nobody's here to watch the story, okay? They're all here to see tits and ass. And I think that was the line that set him off as the reason why he was just like hard on his no because of the fact that it is true. They're not there for the story. They're there for the tits and ass. And he did not want to share those tits and ass. And I can get that because there are a lot of guys out there. Especially like case point my boyfriend. We've been together for almost 6 years. The fact that this man does not want to share my private body with anybody, I can respect that. I can get that. That's why I don't do shit. That's why I don't have an OnlyFans or anything like that. Because my man said no. My man's like, I love you too much, and I don't want you to, I don't really want anybody else to see what's going on. This is between me and you, because this is my thing. And I can respect that. That is a respectful choice that I can get behind, because I've been in several different types of relationships. I've been in polyamorous relationships. I've been in monogamous relationships. I've been in lesbian relationships. And I'm going to be honest, they're all different. They're all different depending on the person. Like, straight up. Each person is different, especially in the time. At their ages. Completely fucking different. So, when, Eric's like, we're monogamous, I don't want you sharing your body or, having sex with anybody else. That's cool by me. That's cool by me. I love you. I love only you, and I only want to be with you. So, if it's what you want, it's what you're going to get. So, I can get why RJ was, upset about this. But again, he should have been a fucking man and spoke up and just went, no, I'm jealous. I don't want to watch you get fucked by Jackson. What is so wrong with that? And seriously, if Wayne had a problem with it, he could have looked at him and just went like, seriously, bro, you got two other hotties here, okay? You're fucking one, she's fucking the other one. I'm sure if you wanted to, you could fuck Bobby Lynn too. Let me have my girl, okay? Let me have my girl. Let me have her innocent and purity here. But RJ's not having this. RJ's not having a good time, so he's like, fuck all you guys. And he storms off in the middle of the night and goes up to the van. He's just like, how would y'all like it if I just go leave y'all here stranded and everything? Now, since she wants to get fuck her, let her have this movie. Fuck her and all this shit. He cranks up the car. He goes to get going. Of course. Don't Fear the Reaper's playing in the background, because every 1979 horror movie had to have Don't Fear the Reaper playing in the background. Don't ask me why. I want to say it's Halloween's fault, because Halloween, I want to say, played it at one point. Oh, that might have been the remake. I can't remember, but I want to say I did hear it in the original one, but I could be wrong. But the point is, I heard a lot of 1970 horror movies that had Don't Fear the Reaper in it for no fucking reason whatsoever. It was just a very popular song at the time, and I guess very iconic, and you go, oh yeah, that's definitely 1970s there. But the song's playing, and as RJ is sprinting out, fucking Pearl's just standing there in the middle of the driveway. And he's just like, okay, what the fuck? So he gets out, he walks over to Pearl, and granted, I knew exactly what was about to happen. Even on my first playthrough of it, I was like, this man is about to die. Okay, this man's about to die. You don't just walk up to an elderly person who's just standing in the driveway by themselves in the middle of the dark. You don't do it, man. You really don't do it. And if you do it, you do it from afar. You try to convince them to come back inside. That doesn't work. You get professional help here, because I ain't going near it, man. I ain't going near it. But RJ goes near it. And, of course, when he walks up to Pearl, he's just like, hey, you okay? You all right? And Pearl, of course, looks at him, and it goes in for a hug. It's a very handsy hug, by the way. She's like caressing his back and rubbing up all over him, and then leans in for a kiss and starts kissing the sides of his face. And of course, RJ is repulsed by this whole situation. He's just like, whoa, what are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? And she's just like, look at me like the way you look at her, like the way you look at the other girl. And RJ's just like, listen, hey, why don't we go find your husband and let's get you inside, okay? Come on. And Pearl, she ain't handling this rejection very well. She don't want her husband, because her husband don't want her. She wants to get laid. And RJ, unfortunately, rejected her laid factor, so she kills him in such dramatic and beautiful fashion. I love this kill. So she has a fucking what was it? What does she have? I think it was just like a regular ass knife or something. But she ends up stabbing him in the neck with it. As Don't Fear the Reaper's guitar riff is playing in the background, by the way. That's why I love this fucking scene. You got fucking Don't Fear the Reaper cutting in and out in the background with the guitar riff going on. You know the whole that whole cool ass shit. And as he, got the knife in his neck, he falls back and he's gasping for air. And Pearl gets on the ground and mounts him like she's about ready to go to town with him. And I'm pretty sure that's what fucking happens here. Like, I'm gonna be honest, guys. I'm gonna be 100% honest. When watching this scene, I was so enthralled and in tune to the scene, I then got very confused near the climax of the scene because I couldn't tell if she was coming or she was having a stroke. But while she's mounted on top of him, she proceeds to just stab him over and over and over again with this knife to the throat, to the point that there's just blood gushing everywhere. It's covering the headlights, so it's giving off this like very cool ass red glowy effect. And she's just and she's like getting into it with like these evil demonic grunts. That's why I said I can't decide if she's having a good time or she's having a stroke. I can't tell, but she's just and then she finally gets done, and she, Don't Fear the Reaper is like climaxing at this point. We're down to the second chord at this point. She gets done though, and she stands up and she looks at herself, looks at her hands, and Don't Fear the Reaper fades out. And it's like for a minute, we're inside Pearl's head. Like, we don't get to see like these kick-ass visions like we did in the movie Pearl, like near the end of the movie where she's doing the dance off, and we see like the army chick girls come in and dancing with her and shit. We don't get to see that. But for a moment we're in Pearl's head because the music changes from, Don't Fear the Reaper to this beautiful ballerina orchestra music, and she's just dancing so beautifully in this red bloody light, and she's just in her own little world, just having a great time. And eventually when she gets done, she kind of snaps back, and of course, Don't Fear the Reaper comes back in, and she walks over to the car and takes the keys out and walks the fuck off. I love that kid. I love it because the practical effects they use was beautiful. Like, we get to see the knife going into the throat, and it's like chewing the hell out, to the point that I think he's nearly, if not decapitated fully. But it's like literally either halfway decapitated or fully decapitation to happen. But the point is, she has just gone ham on his neck, and there's just blood every fucking where. But we cut back to Lorraine waking up. Of course, she can't find RJ, so she's moping around the house, and Wayne catches her, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? She's like, I can't find RJ. I don't know where he's at. Listen, why don't you come back to bed? We'll talk to him in the morning. We know he hasn't gone anywhere. The van's still here. But she ain't having it. She is worried as fuck. And I don't get this. So Wayne wants to go help her out. So he walks the fuck out to go help her. Here's what I don't get. This man could have put no clothes on. Like, he's just walking around his little tidy whities, okay? Like we couldn't even let this man put some shorts on, some pants on, even some shoes. Like, give him some shoes or something. No. We're gonna let him walk out this house with just his tidy whities on. But he heads to the barn, she heads to the house, and as she heads to the house, Howard meets her on the front porch. He's like, what are you doing here? I'm looking for my boyfriend. What's up with you? I can't find my wife. So I'm thinking originally at first when he said that he's got this notion in his head that RJ and his wife done ran off. But no. We find out later on that he's in on this too, so he knows about the killings and all this shit. But the fact that he plays the old man card so fucking well, I'm not even gonna lie, like Pearl doesn't play the old woman card. Like, okay, let me phrase that. She does one time, and that's at the end of the movie when she breaks her hip, and she's like, oh my god, please help me, and then starts berating Maxine. But other than that, she doesn't play the old woman card. She just plays herself, very Pearl, creepy, especially creepy because she's old, kind of creepy. But Howard straight up plays innocent old man card, just like Alpha, like that's like his go-to card. Just like you've seen Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Where they're like, not so fast. I got this card. That's Howard right there. Just not so fast. I play old man card. I am an innocent old man. And he plays it so fucking well, though. But you know, she's just like, okay, well, you know, let's go find them. We then cut back to Wayne in the barn. You know, trying to talk to RJ because he thinks RJ might be hanging out in the bar. So he's like, RJ, if you're in here, I got 2 words of advice for you. 2 keys to help in a good relationship. First of all, never let a good woman out of your sight, okay? Second of all, don't mention weight. Just don't do it, man. It's kind of true, though. Never let a good person leave your life. And never talk about people's weight. Just don't do it. That's just like an instant fight right there. Just don't do it. But while he's chit-chatting, he's like, yeah, that's why I get all these pretty girls and everything's going great. Karma's a bitch. And he stepped on it. And it was a nail protruding from a piece of board. So he ends up hurting himself. And he falls down. And he's like, damn it, RJ, if you're in here, help me the fuck out, dude. You know, thinking RJ's still around. Not knowing that RJ's dead. And he gets the, and I felt that, by the way. I'm going to make a mention. When he stepped on that nail, I felt that in my foot. I was just like, ooh, yeah, no. Ooh, God, no. Ooh, God, no, 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 no. Oh, but fucking stepped on it. He's, you know, holding his foot. Blood's just fucking everywhere. And he sees, like, a shadow in the back of the barn. And this is one of those obvious fucking kills, like one of those obvious horror movie fucking kills. We all seen this setup. So he goes to the back of the barn, right, and he's like, RJ, is that you? And of course, these doors have little holes in it. So what does he do? He, of course, pulls the typical douchebag in a horror movie moment and starts looking through all the fucking holes like he's gonna find something. And while he's standing there, suddenly shadows cover up the holes, and you know the light dims out, and the next thing you know, we just see something get stuck through his eyes. Just ka-doom. Turns out it's Pearl with the fucking pitchforks. But the point is, it goes straight through his eye. It is rather obvious. Did not scare the shit out of me whatsoever. But I was beyond impressed with the practical effects. I'm not gonna lie. And we get to see it in a minute because, you know, after he gets, you know, stabbed in the eye, we cut back to Lorraine in the house with Howard. And he's like, I got these 1 flashlights, but there's another one in the basement. Do you mind to go get it? Yeah, sure. I normally wouldn't ask, but, you know, I'm worried about my wife. You know, she's old and she breaks her hip out there. I don't know what I'm going to do. And she's like, okay, well, I'll go get it. And she goes down to the basement. And while she's down in the basement looking for the flashlight, we then cut back to Pearl kind of, you know, undoing the pitchfork from his eyes. And we get to see this beautiful practical effect of his eyeballs, like, because one of his eyeballs for sure fell out of the socket. So he's sitting there with like blood gushing out of his eyes, and his eyeball is just chilling there. And it is done so well. Like, I love a good eyeball practical effect. I'm not gonna lie, a good eyeball practical effect goes a long fucking way. But Pearl walks over there. She's got a little pitchfork in hand. She walks over there. She looks down at Wayne's body, and she starts covering him with hay. Like, that's gonna do something. Like, if I pretend he doesn't exist, he can't hurt me. Yes, he can't hurt me. Oh, fucking loved it, though. Fucking loved it. But, after that, we didn't cut back to Lorraine. She's in the basement. She's got the flashlight. She's coming up the stairs. She realized she's locked in. She's like, oh shit, you know, let me out. Runs back down the stairs to the basement. And now we get to see what the cops saw in the beginning of the movie. As soon as she turns the light on, guess what the fuck we see? And even I, on my first watch through, did not see this shit coming. Even I was just like, oh my fucking god. Like when Jenna Ortega's character screamed, I felt that in my soul because that was just something I was not expecting. But she turns around as she turns the light on, and there's a dead guy chained up to the ceiling, and his legs are chained up somewhere, and his pants are undone, and it's just... He's dead. He's been fucked to death. He's been stabbed to death. I don't know what the hell happened, but he's dead, and we got to see a dead naked penis just hanging in our face. So I get why she screamed. I would scream too if I saw that bullshit. Like, straight up. Like, oh my god. At first, you know, when I saw that shit, I had to pause and take that moment, and I'm just like, that bitch is that desperate for some dick, isn't she? Like, she wants it. And no, it ain't the fact that she wants dick. She wants, like the girl said earlier in the movie, everybody wants sex. Pearl wants sex from anybody she's sexually attracted to. It doesn't matter whether it's a dick or a vagina. She wants it. So after that, we cut back to Jackson in his room. And he wakes up because he thinks he hears something. And of course, Bobby Lynn wakes up too. And he's like, it's okay, you know, you go back to sleep. You know, I'm going to go get something to drink. And he walks out of the room. And he's butt-ass naked. Like, straight up butt-ass naked. Walks into the kitchen, grabs a thing of milk, starts drinking. And he sees a little flashlight come through the window. And he sees Howard with a flashlight and a shotgun. So he goes over there and he opens the door. Remember, he's still butt-ass naked. But he opens the door and he's just like, hey, what's going on, old-timer? Like, seriously, I want y'all to go back and watch this scene. So you can just get the understanding of why I think this is so funny. Not only is this big... burly ass black man opening this door, butt ass fucking naked. But it's the middle of the night and he's opening up the front door to a white guy with a shotgun. And I love the response. I just love the response because guess what? Howard pulls the old man card and just goes, my wife, she's done wandered off and I can't find her and I don't want her to break that hip. And he, you know, again, you know, Jackson looks at him and goes, well, that's a big shotgun for looking for your wife. Yeah, she has a habit of going down to the lake, and there's some gators down there, and I don't want her to fall in, man. That's why I brought her with me. Well, you know what? We Marines got to stick together, huh? And we get this nice cutback shot of seeing Jackson standing in the doorway, butt-ass naked. But Grant, there's no lights on him, so all we see is the silhouette. Again, just all you see is the silhouette. So you see it just hanging there. And by golly, Miss Molly, I'm going to be honest, I saw that shit and I got scared for a minute. I'm just like, no. Just no. Just no. I get why he's in this industry. I'm sure he's great in that industry. But the answer is no for me, dog. The answer is just no for me. That shit's scary as fuck. But yeah, we see it all silhouette hanging and everything. But he's just like, yeah, we Marines got to get together. Let me get my clothes on. I'll come help you look. And he walks off. And at least he gets to wear clothes. Unlike Wayne, who was walking around in his tidy whities. At least this man gets to wear some clothes. But while he gets dressed and leaves, Pearl's in the house. So Pearl walks in and, of course, goes to Maxine's room. And Maxine is dead to the world, sleeping. And Pearl walks over there, grabs the covers, and pulls it off of her a little bit. So, you know, her ass is exposed. You know, she's wearing some underwear, but, you know, her ass is exposed. And Pearl, you know, takes her clothes off and crawls into bed with her and starts caressing her. Just so gentle, but yet seductively at the same time. It's getting very creepy, very handsy. We then cut back to Jackson and Howard at the lake, and they're making the perimeter. Hey, you go this way, I'll go that way. And he's just like, well, I only got the one flashlight. And he proceeds to tell him, well, I was in the rice fields looking for grenades and tripwires. I think if your wife is out here, I could find her. And he proceeds to go off one way. Howard goes the other way. And while he's looking, Jackson sees a beetle vehicle just kind of submerged into the water a little bit, just the way Pearl did the projectionist car, just threw into the lake, and her sister-in-law's car, by the way, threw that into the lake. She's done throwing this other guy's car in the lake. Who knows how many cars are in this lake and how many gators are in this lake? I say drain the lake. Let's find out. But the point is, he sees that, and when he looks up, he sees the flashlight kind of flickering back and forth, so he thinks something's up with the old man, so he goes to investigate. And as he's investigating everything going on, we cut back to Lorraine again trying to get out of the basement. And she finds a hammer and she's determined, I'm going to bust down the fucking door and get the hell out. So once we see that, we go back to Jackson, who walks up to who he thinks is the old man. And he's just like, hey man, I'm not seeing your wife out here. And he looks over and he sees the flashlight and the water, and he's just like, what are you doing out there, man? Like, what's going on? So he goes out there to investigate. And at first, I was just like, why the fuck did Howard do all this shit? And then it started to make sense. I'm pretty sure he wanted the gator to get him. So he tricked him into going into the water. But when the gator didn't get him, Howard had to improvise. And what ended up happening was he goes in. He sees the light, so he starts panicking. He's like, oh, man, old timer, don't worry, I'll find you. And when he can't find him, he gets out, and Howard's just standing right fucking there. Scares the shit out of everybody, including myself, because I was not expecting Howard to be just standing there creepily. And he's just like, hey, man, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Why don't we go back to the house? Because I don't think your wife is here. So why don't we go back to the house and figure out what's going on? And Howard, without missing a beat, is just like, oh, I could tell you what's going on. Pulls a shotgun on him and just shoots him into the water, straight up killing Jackson right fucking there. I'm just like, god damn, poor Jackson. Like, Jackson was a good guy. I like Jackson. I wanted him to be one of the last survivors, but no, Jackson got fucked over. But before, I forgot to mention this, but before he ends up shooting Jackson, he ends up telling him that he doesn't like the folks here because they remind him of the folks who came last time, always dressing skimpy and enticing his wife, And that's what kind of freaks Jackson out a little bit to say, hey man, why don't we go back to your house? And then Howard proceeds to rebuttal back with a shotgun to the face. Once we get done with that, we cut back to Maxine and Pearl. And Maxine rolls over and she finally wakes up and she sees Pearl just kind of in her face, caressing her. Freaks her the fuck out. She screams. Fucking Bobby wakes up. Poor girl. She was like out cold, snoring at one point. Wakes the fuck up, opens the door, and sees Pearl's naked ass run out the fucking house. She runs into Maxine's room and she's like, oh my god, are you okay? No, she was in my bed and she was fucking touching me. Which I feel like is the appropriate response. If I woke up to an old person in my bed just touching me, I feel like I would have the same response. Not gonna lie. So, once we had that little, I'm gonna be honest, that was kind of a funny moment because we get to see Pearl, quick. I'm talking about, that woman got a sprint action going. She 99 her sprint burst for that moment, but as soon as Bobby Lynn opened that door, boom, she fucking took the hell off. But we come back to Lorraine, who was trying to escape the downstairs. She finally busts down the door. She sticks her hand out of the crack in the door to go unlock it. And fucking Howard comes in with a shotgun and breaks her fucking fingers with the butt of the gun, points it at her, and demands her to get back down into the cellar. And of course, as she's screaming, he turns on the fucking television, and there's that damn preacher again, just preaching about the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and how we're all sinners, and damned to hell, and sex sucks, and drugs is terrible, and alcohol is the devil's juice, it's all that bullshit. Maxine, though, we come back to her. She ain't doing that well because, again, I would be freaking out if I woke up to an old woman touching me in my bed. But she's doing a lot of cocaine. She's trying to calm down and, I guess not freak the fuck out. I don't know how the cocaine's going to help her in this situation, because that's going to pull your adrenaline up, not bring it down. But while she's doing that, Bobby's outside trying to find the boys, and she's wrapped up in a blanket, and she sees Pearl butt-ass naked standing at the edge of the dock. And of course, Bobby, being the sweet, sweet woman she is, runs up. She's like, "Oh my God, ma'am, don't move. I don't want anything to happen. I don't want you to fall in or anything. Oh my God, are you okay?" She takes off the blanket and wraps Pearl up in it, so she's not, butt ass naked standing out there. She's like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Listen, my grandmother, she suffered from dementia too, and it's okay. I understand. I wanted to be a nurse beforehand, but I decided not to be a nurse, but let me help you out." And before she could say anything else, fucking Pearl just smacks the fuck out of her and calls her a whore. And Bobby's just like, "Excuse me? I was trying to be nice and help you out here, but if you're gonna be mean, you can go fuck yourself." She goes to walk off, and Pearl steps in her way. It's just like, "It's not fair that you get to be young and beautiful and get to flaunt it in my face," and just keeps berating her about her young, beautiful body and all this shit, and about how she feels cheated about everything. And Bobby's not, taking this. She's just like, "Listen, move out my way. Move out my fucking way. Okay, you know what? Move out my way, you ugly ass bitch." And as soon as she says that, Pearl just pushes her into the water, and she falls in. And without missing a fucking beat, Pearl's all, she's covered up with the blanket, but she leans over and she's like, "Bitch." And as soon as she says that, the gator comes out of nowhere and grabs fucking Bobby and starts doing the death roll on her as she's screaming. And I don't know how this bitch is still screaming, because that gator got her good on the top of the head. But they're doing the death roll, and we fucking get to see the struggle, and Pearl's just watching it, just smiling like a son of a bitch. Just, yes, my gator's well fed. My gator loves me. But Howard comes up, and he's just like, "Oh my God, was that the one? Was that the girl?" "No. I don't like blondes." Which originally, I thought that was a throwaway line, but once you watch Pearl, it makes fucking sense. Because of the fact that her sister-in-law was a blonde with blue eyes. It was everything that talent agency or the dance competition wanted. So I get why she doesn't like blondes. It probably reminds her of her sister-in-law, and I like that as a little character development moment or a character nod. The fact that she doesn't like blondes, because that probably reminds her of her fucking evil sister-in-law that she fucking killed with an axe. Oh, love that death though. I love it. Still, though, I love RJ's the best, but that was still a good one. I love a good death roll by a gator, straight up. And the fact that this gator looks very realistic. I mean, size-wise, not like CGI or anything like that. Granted, the CGI looks great on the gator and looks like a really good gator. But, with Lake Placid, the gators were fucking enormously huge over here. But with this one, it's a realistic gator, so I like it. I like the design choices that they did for this gator, and I like the death roll animation. But after that, we have, we go back to Maxine, who is scrubbing her fucking arms and shit. She's not having it. She's trying to get the old woman touch off of her. And as she goes to walk away, once she gets done cleaning herself, she sees Pearl and Howard coming up, so she panics and goes to hide. And once they come in, they can't find her, so they accept that fact, and they're like, "Well, we got 3 of them." "No, technically we got 4. "Okay, we got 4 of them, and I got one trapped in the basement for you." And Pearl, looks at Howard and sits down on the bed, and she's like, but she's not the one I want, though. I want the other one, the one with the X Factor, the special X Factor. And he was just like, I know, but, the other one's just as good. She sits there, and with a defeated tone, she's like, I never get what I want. I never do. And it's kind of sad, because even when she's trying to choose people to rape and kill, she still doesn't get what she wants. Like, this woman's just miserable. She's unhappy. She's just like her mother. But Howard comes in, and she's just like, please, could we, And he's like, I want to give it to you. I do, but I'm old, and I'm tired. And he sits down on the bed with her. And this is a beautiful moment between these two psychopaths. I'm not going to lie. Like, this made me just go, aw. I shouldn't be going, aw, to two psychopaths talking about being in love, but I did because this is some great fucking writing. But, he's just like, I'm just tired. She looks at him and she's just like, tell me I'm special. You are. Ever since I met you, you've always been special. You've always been beautiful, and I love you. And he's just like, and she leans in, and she's like taking off the blanket a little bit. And she's just like, I know I'm not as young and as pretty as I used to be. And he's like, no, but to me you are. To me you are. She starts, kissing him, and at this point the blanket's all off of her, and she's like, please, Howard, just make me feel young again. Make me feel beautiful again. And Howard's just like, but my heart, I think it can take it. And then we have old people sex. I'm not gonna lie, we have old people sex. Straight up, this is another thing I love about this movie. The fact that the sex is not exclusively only to the young folks or the pretty folks. No, everybody's getting laid, okay? The old people getting laid, the young people getting laid, the virgins getting laid, the dead body over in the corner in the basement's getting laid. Everybody's getting laid. Fucking Oprah Winfrey's coming out just going, everybody's getting laid tonight. Yeah! Woo! Free SUVs for everybody. Woo! It's that crazy shit. That's why I love this movie, though. It's got everything you would want in a sexual movie. Everybody's getting laid. But what's great about this scene, not only the fact that they're having an intimate bonding experience moment, this is a very intense sex scene for two old people. And I say this because of the fact that Maxine is under the bed while they're having sex, and they're all into it, and they're going at it, and we see it from like afar, like we get like an overview shot of them having sex. We see Maxine's feet stick out as she is crawling, like army crawling her ass out, and this is such an intense scene. Because at any moment, if Pearl looks up or if Howard looks up, granted they're old, so it might take them a minute, so she could have a minute to escape. But the point is, if this happens, she's going to get caught. She's going to get in trouble. But she managed to get her way out of there, and oh my god, that poor woman, she just had to sit there and hear two old people have sex. I would be mentally scarred too, to be honest. Granted, though, even old people deserve to have sex, okay? Like, you may be old, but y'all deserve some love and attention too. And that's why I love old people in horror movies as well. Again, if done correctly, the right character development, old people in horror movies are very, very fun. Especially when done the way these two old people are. The way they're written, the way they're acted, is fantastic. And the same thing with children actors, if done correctly. We got a good child actor over here. But after that, she runs up to the car, and of course she sees that it's flat, and of course she sees RJ's body, and she hears Lorraine screaming, so she busts on in there, and Lorraine's having a meltdown. She's clutching her hands because they're fucking broken. She's just like, get me the fuck out of here, and fucking Maxine opens the door, gets her out, and Lorraine grabs at the hatchet, and she's just like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Fuck you for bringing me here. It's all your fault. And, Maxine's like, you need to calm down. You need to hush. They're just out there, just shh. Lorraine ain't having it though. Lorraine's just like, fuck you, I'm out of here. She runs out the door. Now this one took me by surprise. I'm not gonna lie, I did not see this shit coming. But she runs out the fucking door and just gets blown away by Howard's shotgun. Like straight up, and then you just hear Howard, I told her to stay her ass in the basement. It's like, bro. Took me aback though, and the entire time Pearl's just like, oh, it doesn't matter, you know, we have each other now, we have our moment. Like, she found her bonding moment, she found her loving bonding experience. And of course, yeah, Howard's just like, well, let's drag her body into the house. That's easier to explain, you know, self-defense and all that stuff. You know, I don't think anyone's coming to look for them anyway. Well, I'll give it 24 hours, and then once that's done, we'll take all the bodies and we'll dump them in the lake. And Maxine overhears all of this, and this is actually done very, very well. I love this practical effect, but Howard is moving Lorraine's body, and we get this nice fucking shot where the shotgun got her in the face, and like half her skull is missing, and we see like teeth and shit, and she's alive somehow. I don't know how or why, but she's alive, and she's, you know, gargling over here. And when Howard puts her down, he's like, oh man, she's heavier than she looks, and goes to pick her up. And as soon as he says that, you know, she's like a good, like, I guess, choke out gargle happens, scares the shit out of Howard. This man has a heart attack and dies. Man's heart could handle intense sexual moments with him and his wife, but could not handle a dead body spitting at him. His heart may have been strong, but it was not that strong apparently. But as he is having his heart attack, of course Pearl's very concerned. Maxine don't give a fuck at this point. Maxine's like, this is a perfect opportunity to fucking get my shit and get the hell out of here. So she comes out with the gun. And she's like, where are the keys to the car? He's having a heart attack. I don't care. Where are the keys? Like, I'm with Maxine at this point. You have done killed all my friends. I could give two shits of a less if your husband's having a heart attack. Give me the fucking keys. So she goes and gets the keys. And as she's about to walk out, she says, and I quote, you're going to rot when people find out what you did. She said the infamous line, you're going to rot. Now remember in Pearl, she constantly made references about the rotting feeling in her gut, especially when she was pregnant and she had the miscarriage and all that shit. You know, the rotting feeling of how she felt when she was murdering people and everything. That was a great kind of nod to her, especially with how she ended up reacting to this line. It was almost like her mother in some aspect, because she stands up and she's just like, oh, you want to talk about what I'm doing? What I have done? I know you. I've seen you, you whore. You end up just like me. You end up just like me, losing everything that you have. And of course, Maxine pulls a her, doesn't even realize she pulls a her, but she does. She just goes, I'm a star. I am nothing like you. You are a kidnapping, murdering sex fiend, and I am a star, and everybody will know my name. I do not accept the life I do not deserve. And what's creepy about this scene is that she's saying that final line at the exact same time as her preacher daddy is on the television. Because again, that's still going on in the background from when Howard turned it on earlier. And, fucking, without missing a beat, Pearl goes to, I guess, goes to reach for the gun, but she's staring at her, and Maxine's just like, quit fucking staring at me, just like Pearl did, acting just like fucking Pearl, goes to pull the trigger, click, 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 there's no fucking bullets. Wayne was correct. Wayne literally had a gun with no bullets in it just to intimidate people. First of all, that is a very bad thing to do. You don't just take out a gun to wave it around at random people. Second of all, if you have a gun, get bullets. Just get bullets. You don't have to put them together. Just get bullets for situations situations like this, man. Situations like this. Granted, though, Maxine should have realized that gun was probably lighter than what it should have been, but she probably never picked up a gun before, so she probably didn't know. But the point is, there's no bullets in that gun. So Pearl takes the opportunity to go fully for the gun, grabs the shotgun, goes to shoot Maxine. Maxine ducks, so she misses, but Pearl, being old and decrepit and can't handle a double-barrel shotgun's ricochet action, gets flown back outside of the fucking house. Like, dead ass. She's in the hallway, boom, out the front door, does a backflip, lands in the yard. Fucked her hip up. Fucking Maxine's not having any of this shit, though. Maxine walks out, and Pearl's on the ground like, oh, my hip. She's playing the old woman card. First one and only time. She's like, oh, my hip, though. Please help me, call the police. And Maxine's just like, I do not care. I do not give a fuck. Starts walking to the car. So the cries for help then turn into a berating action of her yelling at Maxine about how she will lose it, how she will get it taken away from her, like it got taken away from her, that she is nothing and nobody, and that's all she will ever be. And as she's berating her, fucking Maxine is in the car, puts that bitch in reverse, and runs her ass over, and we get this nice fucking shot of the car just smashing her head and it exploding in a beautifulness of blood and brain matter and all that shit just all over the place. And we see like the top of her scalp, and fucking Maxine puts it in drive and just goes, it will be our secret, and drives the fuck off, running over the head again. And it's, again, that head popping scene was done so well and beautiful. I love a good head pop. I do. Like I could stand the one in Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, because of the fact that they covered it with so much fucking CGI that it ruined the effect. This is done extremely well. This one here is done extremely well, and I love it. It had the perfect ratio of head popping with brain matter and blood all over the place, with a realistic but fun twist to it. And the build-up of hearing Pearl scream before getting her ass ran over was just great. It's just fucking great. But as they're driving, of course we hear the fucking preacher talking in the background, and she's just like, divine intervention. Grabs her cocaine, does another little bump. Praise the fucking Lord. And drives off down the sunset to her destiny, into the third movie of Maxine. We then cut back to the fucking crime scene from the beginning of the movie, and we're with the preacher. And that's when we get the big shock factor of Maxine is the preacher's daughter, and she's run away from the cause because she's been captured by the devil and his sins. And blah, blah, blah. Maxine chose poorly in life. Typical Bible-thumping asshole bullshit. And we're talking, and we go back to the cop from earlier in the movie, and he's talking to one of his deputies, and he's just like, what do you think happened here? How the hell am I supposed to know? And he's looking around. Of course, we see more bodies being brought out. And one of the guys comes up with a camera, and he's just like, hey, I got this camera. What do you think is on it? And the final line, I love this final line. The final line is, well, while looking at what the hell happened here, it's got to be one goddamn fucked up horror picture. End credits. It's such a fun movie. Such a fun movie. I love this movie, and I think Ty West is a brilliant writer, and I think Mia Goth is also an excellent, brilliant writer and actress in this movie. This is a fun double feature. I cannot wait for Maxine to come out in the third movie. I would definitely be talking about that because I absolutely love this trilogy of horror movies. They're fun. They're love letters to horror movies. They're not parodies. They're not jokes. They are literally just handcrafted with love to the cinema of the era, you know, the 1918s, 1979. I can't wait to see what Maxine's going to be. Hopefully he's in the 80s, because 80s was just the oozing factor of horror. I would absolutely love that. And I actually would love to see where they're going to take Maxine's character from here. And I would love to see what more Mia Goth can bring to this character, especially after her amazing portrayal of playing Pearl. Fucking amazing. And I love the fact that she also got to play both the young version of Pearl, the old version of Pearl, and the main character of this movie. She kind of pulled a Tilda Sweden from Suspiria, where she played multiple roles. You know, she played the old man, she played the old fake Mother Suspiria, and she played, you know, herself. And I love that. That is like acting at its finest, where you could play these different characters and you wouldn't even know. Like with Tilda's character, straight up, I didn't know the first time watching this movie, that movie Suspiria, that she played the old man. I did not know that. She was just that good of an actress that I didn't even realize that she was underneath all this prosthetic makeup. It wasn't until I was looking some fun facts about the movie. They're like, oh yeah, she played all three characters. I was like, god damn. There's some acting skills at its finest. And the fact that Mia Goth can pull a very similar thing off is fucking incredible. And that is just amazing acting skills. And there's fabulous actors all up and down both these movies. They're great actors. We got a lot of horror icons in this shit. Newer horror icons coming up in this shit. Because like I said, Mia Goth is wonderful. We got Gina Ortega in this movie, who's becoming our new screen queen. Fantastic though. I love this movie. I love the 79 grindhouse feel of it. I love the overuse of blood and the crazy music and the synth music and the cinematography, This is just a well-written movie, fun horror slasher movie. It's an homage to the slasher genre, and I love a good homage. I do. I love, especially when they're homaging horror movie, genres. I absolutely love, and I love 70 and 80 horror movies. 80s movies is where it's fucking at for me, but I love the 70s horror movies, because the 70s horror movies, especially 60s horror movies as well, fucking crazy. They're fucking all over the place. Like, especially a lot of the foreign horror films of the era. It can get out there. Love this movie though. 10 out of 10 would definitely recommend this. It's a fun watch. It's a fun movie. And I think, honestly, I have rambled on long enough about this movie. So I'm going to go ahead and end this beautiful podcast here. Because, again, I can sit here and just talk about how the acting was fabulous, how everything was great in this movie. But I suggest you go ahead and watch it if you haven't watched it already. And if you have, tell me in the comments below. What was your favorite part about this movie? What was your favorite aspect about this movie? Did you like Pearl more than you like this movie? Vice versa? Did you not like this movie? I would like to hear from you. But I'm going to go ahead and end this podcast here. I hope everybody who has watched, is watching, will watch. I hope you enjoy. Hope everybody has a fantastic and a wonderful night. And if you're watching this video here on YouTube or on Spotify or Anchor or wherever you listen to this on, please give this video a like, subscribe, and quite possibly a comment down below, because you never know what's going to happen here. Trust me, I never know. I think I actually got a pretty good schedule for the Horror Summer Fest movies. Next week, we'll be doing, of course, one of my favorite summer horror films, which would be Jaws. I love Jaws. And it's kind of a nice nod being 4th of July next week. It's definitely going to be a good time to watch this movie. And after that, we are going to be watching the Evil Dead 2013 movie, because that also felt like a very summer film movie, and the fact that we're in a abandoned summer cabin, which is always fun. But the reason why I'm choosing this one over the original one is because I finally got to sit down and watch Evil Dead Rises. So I will be talking about that movie the following week after that, and we will wrap up the rest of the Summer Horror Time Fest with Friday the 13th Part 6. Now, why Part 6, you may ask? Because that is the only Friday the 13th movie where the summer camp was actually open and had kids in it. And I think it would be a great movie to end the summer with when it comes to, Summer Horror Fest. I feel like it would be a great movie to end with. And then, of course, we'll wrap up the entire summer with a review and discussion on The Quarry, which I absolutely love. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to do a versus battle thing with Until Dawn, or just talk about the core in general, about how and why I like it a little bit more than Until Dawn. And I mean like a little bit more. Like it's like a couple of notches, like a few points, like not even. But mainly it's because of the nostalgic reasons and because I like werewolves. And don't get me wrong, the Until Dawn with the Wendigos, I fucking love that idea. I love Wendigos. They don't get talked about enough when it comes to movies and video games, so I love it. But the summer camp vibe, werewolves, it's just it felt very nostalgic for me. But that's the discussion for another day. So until then, my friends, y'all take care.